Yes, look, I mentioned that story about Australia Post just a moment or two ago. I mean, those ridiculous costings are being discussed in Senate estimates, and Malcolm Roberts is also involved in all of this. He joins us on the program. Hello, Malcolm.
Good morning, Marcus. How are you, mate?
I'm okay. Busy time in Canberra at the moment with these estimates going on.
Yes, it is. We're doing a combination of written submissions, written questions on notice, as well as personal appearances. So
Good.
There's a lot on in Senate estimates. It's a matter of making the best use of the time.
All right, good work, because we need questions to be asked about really important issues like why the government paid $30 million for land that was later valued at just under $3 million. The previous owner now leasing back the land at a value of $1 million. The land was owned by the Liberal Party donors Tony and Ron Perrich's Leppington Pastoral Company. What can you tell me about this so-called Goldenvington Triangle? Well, there must be gold in them there hills. There has to be. I mean, I'd love to have any asset that I have. I'd love somebody to pay me 10 times what it's worth.
It's more than 10 times. Yeah, well, I guess, 10 times. But, it's just staggering. The land was valued without even entering the site. It just displays typical poor governance from government federally. You know, the federal government is far too big. It needs to get back to handing back most of its responsibilities to the states, because they stole them from the states. And you're not going to get accountability in government like this. And, you know, what's happening, Marcus, is that we've seen a disregard of taxpayers' money and a bypassing of data, making decisions based upon what looks to be like mates' needs. And, we need an ICAC, a federal government ICAC. The Attorney General has promised one 2 years ago, draft bill since December 2019, but it's just a weak, toothless proposal. We need real governance, we need real accountability, and we need, above all, a restoration of government's primary responsibility, which is to serve the people, not steal from the people.
Yeah, I mean, Pauline Hanson's One Nation. You support a federal independent commission against corruption. We absolutely 100% need one. I mean, look at this for poor governance. I mean, it's typical. A disregard for taxpayers' money and bypassing data. I know you love using data, but I mean, how on earth can this land be valued without anybody even entering the site, for goodness sake?
Well, you're absolutely correct. This is as big as it is, it's tiny compared to what is going on, say, in the rorting of our energy, which is destroying jobs, exporting jobs overseas. That's why we want to chase the CSIRO yet again in Senate estimates, and I'll be holding them accountable. I've written a letter ahead of time to make the best use of my time, saying I want certain questions answered. This will be the fifth opportunity for the CSIRO to produce evidence that climate policies are needed, and it's just, without that, we need to scrap these policies. Why hasn't the government done its due diligence at the site where the land transaction took place? Why hasn't the government done its due diligence on the CSIRO? We've given the CSIRO 4 opportunities. This will be the 5th, and they have not come up with the goods. We're destroying not $30 million worth of wealth. We're destroying trillions of dollars worth of wealth in this state, in this country, because of these climate policies that have got no basis in science. So we're giving the CSIRO yet another attempt, a 5th opportunity to provide the evidence. All
right. Well, as I've discussed with you before, I mean, in order for our economy to continue, in order for investment to take place, whether it's in renewables, whether it's in nuclear, whether it's, in any coal or anything, there needs to be something on the table from the government. There needs to be direction. Right now, it's a rudderless ship, and we need, if you want to attract investment into any energy source, renewable or otherwise, you need to let those who may be willing to invest in our energy needs, you need to let them know a roadmap. What's happening? There's nothing going on at the moment.
Exactly. And the reason why, Marcus, is because there's no basis in fact or science or data for their climate policies. There's none at all. And the CSIRO has now proven that 4 times to us, because they've failed 4 times. And that's the reason why there are so many rudderless moves, so many rudderless directions going on, or lack of direction going on in this state, in this country, because there is lack of data underpinning the policies, and therefore people just get pulled from one side to the other in Parliament. They don't know where they're going. They're lost. They're in a fog. Canberra is the most destructive city in the country. And I mean that sincerely, because they're paid enormously and they add no value. The fastest growing income in the country is in Canberra. The fastest growing population of the city is in Canberra.
Yes.
And the lack of accountability is there. And when government, federal government, is the source of your growth, then you're on a really downward slope into oblivion as far as this country is concerned. It's just ridiculous because there's nothing there that drives this. And this state is the state, as in the state government, the government is out of control.
All right, let's just move on to youth crime if we can now. Now, there's been some suggestions that if the opposition in Queensland get in, they'll put a curfew on youth up there in Townsville and also in Cairns. I mean, what has led to an increase in youth crime? And that's your neck of the woods up there in Queensland. I mean, what's going on here? Is it poor parenting, high unemployment, lack of maybe consequences, revolving door through courts? What is it? All of that?
There's a really positive story here, Marcus, a wonderful story. There are community groups now in Townsville who are so concerned about the crime that's gone out of control in Townsville. It's similar in Ipswich, in Caboolture, in Logan, these areas that have been traditional Labor Party strongholds. Labor Party has taken them for granted and neglected them. But the really positive sign is that there are actually a couple of groups in Townsville who are coming together now, both Indigenous people and European descent. Mm-hmm. One, for example, is called One Community, One Standard. And they're saying, we've had enough. You people in government are not doing your job in the state government under the Labor Party machine, and we want to make sure that we put in place active community responses to the crime. And they're not just saying, let's punish kids, because a lot of this is crime from juveniles. They're saying, let's look at the root causes of this. Let's get parents to stand up and say, we've got to look after the kids and teach them responsibility, which means parents have to take responsibility. Let's get energy policies correct so that we get a return to cheap energy, which means more jobs. Instead of exporting jobs to China and having our kids on drugs and out of control on the streets, let's give them work, something meaningful. And there are also some wonderful people up there who are Jeff Adams, for example, and Russ Bartlett, who are coming up with juvenile boot camps that have been proven over many, many years. And the government is just sitting on its hands. You know what the first initiative these people want, Marcus? They want a simple, confidential survey of all the people involved with these kids, because the state government won't let them speak. They can't get the facts out. So government is now not only actively condoning this violence and this crime, they're encouraging it by suppressing any data on it. Again, government just wanting to abandon people for the sake of political correctness and looking good rather than doing good. This is a really positive story coming up in Townsville because One community, one standard.
All right, well, keep me informed of it as you always do, Malcolm. Great to chat with you this morning. We'll catch up again next week.
Can you mention CPAC, Marcus?
Can I mention which, sorry?
CPAC. The notes I sent you about Mark Latham's going to be speaking along with Alan Jones.
Well,
Craig
can we not
Kelly,
mention him, please? Can we not? Please, at the moment.
Who, Mark Latham?
No, Mark's fine, the other bloke. But look, Jacinta Price will be speaking, Warren Mundine. Yes, tell me about this. That's the US election day. Tell me about CPAC.
CPAC the philosophy is basically conservatism is the political philosophy which states that sovereignty resides in the person. It's about restoring freedom in our country.
Yep.
I spoke there last year. It's a wonderful gathering. I spoke there last year, shared the stage with Jim Molan, and it's on this year, just one day this year, for Wednesday the 4th of November, hopefully to celebrate Trump's re-election. But they'll also be handing out the CPAC Keneally Cup, which will be presented by Craig Kelly, because Christina Keneally won it last year for trying to stop this going ahead, because Christina Keneally is one of the control side of politics, and she wanted to stop free debate, stop free speech, and she got so much publicity for CPAC that CPAC was sold out. So I really strongly recommend anyone in Sydney to go there. I can't go this year because of the border closures, but it's a wonderful display, wonderful forum.
So just on this, and this is going to be cheeky. So the 2020 picks for this so-called Christina Keneally Cup, will be what? Kevin Rudd? Why? I mean, all he wants is for Murdoch not to control all of your newspapers up there in Queensland. Come on, you've got to agree with that, surely, Malcolm?
Well, no, Kevin Rudd is wanting to intimidate free
No, he's not.
press by promoting Royal Commission to Australian media. We don't need that. We just got a marketplace. If people don't need Murdoch paper, they just don't have to buy it.
Yeah, but hang on. Malcolm, we're going to have our first disagreement, and you know how much I respect and admire you. But come on, if Murdoch owns all of the papers in Queensland, what other choice do they have? There's no other choice.
Well, there are plenty of choices because we've now got. It's like the ABC up in the Pilbara, Marcus.
No,
in the
don't
80s,
throw the ABC and Pilbara at me. I'm talking about Queensland. Stop distracting. I thought you were better than that, Malcolm.
No, what I'm saying is in the 80s, they only had the ABC and the Pilbara.
Now he's going back to the 80s. Here we go.
Yeah. But hang on, give me a go.
All right.
What's happening is that we've now got media from all over the world. You can get it on the internet. You don't have to watch Murdoch. You don't have to watch the ABC. You can
I know that.
Get service from anywhere. You can listen to 2SM.
And people, that's true, and hopefully they do. But people, a lot of people aren't as savvy as you and I. They're stuck in their ways, older people, and they buy newspapers. That's what they've done all their lives, and a lot of them aren't on the internet, funnily enough, Malcolm. And what they're getting is the one source of news in the Sunshine State. And I just... Malcolm, I like you, but I can't agree with you on this.
We agree to disagree.
All right, then,
I don't see that we have to buy anything from Murdoch. It's up to people to choose whatever they want.
No, well, that's
most
true.
of Murdoch stuff is on the net now. He publishes hardly any regional papers because it's just not viable. So if you can get him on the internet, you can get anyone else on the internet too. So if you don't like Murdoch, go elsewhere.
Oh, it's not about not liking Murdoch. It's about having a variety of sources in which to get your news and information. All right, mate. But anyway, we'll talk more about this. We'll have another disagreement, but I do appreciate you coming on the program, mate. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Pleasure to be here, Marcus.
Talk soon. There he is.